What's up guys, we've got something a little bit different here. We've got a real driving test. Now this driver's had one attempt before and it's the pinned video in my profile at the moment. That video got the most views out of anyone because he had one serious fault last driving test. Here he is now driving out in red fury for his second attempt. If you haven't watched the last video, I suggest you go over and watch it now. If you can't be bothered, I'll let you know. He only had 2 minor faults and 1 serious fault. You could pop a comment down below, let me know how many driving faults you think they're going to get. As you can see, the coach isn't there at the moment that was in my last video. This was only about 2 days after that test. Unfortunately, the coach has reappeared since all of these tests. They emerged really good. They had observations to the left and the right, and they didn't rush. They took their time, found a suitable gap and emerged straight away. It's quite busy down this stretch at the moment, as you can see. All the usual mirror checks will be needed, especially as the space starts to narrow. What I like to try and remember is, less space, less haste. You'll notice there's a pedestrian on the right, a car parked up on the left. You'd need to give the pedestrian plenty of space and the car as much as you can. When you move back over to your side of the road, you would need to do the appropriate mirror checks. Remember, anytime you change direction, you need to check the mirrors for that direction. The road starts to clear up now, and you'll notice they don't manage to get up to 30 miles per hour, just like normal in this area. Remember, even though the road's quite rough and horrible and you'll hate it, if it is clear, you would need to do the full speed limit. In this situation, because there's cars in front of him, this is an appropriate speed. As you can see, there's a little bit of a wait at the end of the test centre today. It's no big deal for this learner as his clutch control's on point. That's why I say it's so important to practice this junction multiple times at multiple different times also. You don't know if it's going to be completely empty on your test day or if it's going to be backlogged up with trucks, learners and all sorts. He noticed early that the large truck was signalling to the left. He uses it as an opportunity to move out. He stops very closely to this Mercedes in front. He got one minor fault here for following distance. He's turning right at this roundabout. He follows the 12 o'clock rule and sticks nicely to the inside of the roundabout. As he comes off, he positions himself into the left-hand lane. Don't forget, this stretch of road at the very beginning is 2 lanes. Stick to the left, check your right mirror. If anybody's trying to overtake, sometimes it's best just to let them do it. Things get a bit interesting here because you'll notice there's this lady crossing on the road ahead. He's been asked to move off when he's ready. Now, he does his all round observations, checking from the far left blind spot all the way round to the right. Now, I've had quite a lot of people message me before saying, why do I say that you must check your far left shoulder before you move off? You don't need to, because that well known examiner said you don't have to. Well, that is an example where you would have to, because that pedestrian was there, they would expect you to check on your left hand side before you move off. I teach my students to do it by default because you can't get marked down for doing it. However, you can get marked down in certain situations for not doing it. You'll notice that whole road was quite tight. As you're moving down it, just do an appropriate speed. It's rare that you'd be able to get up to 30 miles per hour on a road that tight. And always be looking out for gaps to move into in case an oncoming vehicle does start to progress towards you. This junction is always a little bit busy. You just need to wait for a safe or suitable gap. It is on a hill, so you will notice that he starts to roll back slightly. He does control it straight away, so he doesn't pick up serious fault for this, just one minor. There was quite an abrupt stop here, but there wasn't anything on his score sheet to suggest he got marked down for it. He noticed that the cars were to his right, and he stopped correctly as it's their priority. I've not covered this road on any of the tests I've uploaded before, The only main issue is this beginning part where you've got all the cars parked up on the right. Because you're established on the road, any cars approaching should technically wait for you. Just in case, always be looking out for gaps that they could move into. The bit my student's approaching now is quite a large downhill. You just need to make sure that you control the speed and do not break the speed limit down here. It is a very steep slope. This is one of my least favourite crossroads to emerge from. It's really quite busy. They're coming quite fast from the other direction. Make sure you wait for a good suitable gap. If you've been waiting there for a while, don't stress too much. It could just be that you haven't missed any suitable gaps, in which case you would not be held accountable for that. With the traffic lights approaching, these are the ones that sometimes you need to take slightly differently. As you all know, they've got offside to offside and near side to near side. If the car that is coming from the opposite direction is doing it incorrectly and they're not doing the same version of you, just try to mirror them. I have some people that spend way too much time overthinking this about whether to do offside to offside or near side to near side. First of all, emerge a bit slower, see what the car opposite is doing. As he starts to move out, he stops with really good positioning. The reason it's so good is because he can turn to the right quite easily, the oncoming traffic can go past him, but because he's that little bit further back, if the other car decides to go off to his left instead of past him, he can still do that. It leaves him open to be able to do both of the steering methods. As you can see, he's progressed a little bit further now, so if any oncoming cars wanted to turn right, it would be best for them to go past him and then turn right. But that blue car doesn't want to do that, and he just turns into the road anyway. You'll notice at this roundabout there's a white car to his right. It's a bit of a distance away. It would have had priority, but they decided not to progress. So my learner takes an opportunity to progress into the roundabout. This is absolutely fine to do. They were quite far away from the white car and it clearly wasn't progressing. And there's another bus. There is something about coaches that come from Granby Avenue that don't like me and my learners. He would have done good mirror checks to the right here and then to the left again as he returned back. Otherwise, there would have been a fault here. While he's stuck at these red lights, I want to take a moment to explain lanes. So the left lane is the normal driving lane. As with driving, there's nearly always an exception. You use the middle lane, which is good for overtaking, and you'd use the right lane if you're going to be turning right shortly further ahead. And there would obviously be a few other exceptions to take middle lane, for example, if you're following a certain road. So when entering the Cov Road, he should be sticking to the left-hand lane, not the bus lane. He enters into the middle lane, which is acceptable, but he should be thinking about moving over any time now. At the moment, he hasn't picked up any faults yet because he still has the opportunity to move over his lane. Now, look in the rearview mirror, the road narrows and that red car is now positioned behind him. This is the time when he should be signalling and moving back into the left-hand lane, allowing the red car in the rearview to overtake. He doesn't do this, he continues in the right-hand lane, which forces the red car to undertake him as he's only doing 35 miles per hour. He's still in the right hand lane, which again is used for overtaking and turning right. The examiner hasn't said anything about turning right at the moment, so he has no need to be in this lane. It's at this point here, with lots of cars undertaking him, the examiner decides to tell him to move back over to the left hand lane. Because the examiner had to take control and tell him to move to the left hand lane, this goes down as a serious fault. When I rewatched this, my heart did sink quite a bit when I'd realised just how long he was in the right hand lane for. Just look at how many minor faults that he has. It's just two, with the one serious fault. You can all see the drive has been absolutely fantastic, really smooth with barely any issues. We do go on Coventry Road multiple times, and the same with other roads with two lanes. It just shows you that sometimes when you're in test, your mind just goes elsewhere and you think about other things. Down this road, as there's a lot of moving to the left and moving to the right, they don't use their signals as they return back to their road positioning. So this goes down as one minor fault. When you enter this new road, sometimes there could be quite a few cars parked up on the left and on the right, and you've got speed bumps at the same go. With the speed bumps, if you have to hit them a little bit awkwardly not to go on the other side of the road, it's better to do that. What I mean is, we all know if we drive over them perfectly, you don't even feel them. Sometimes you just have to hit them a bit awkwardly if there is something blocking your side of the road. Don't drive into the middle of the road or to the far right to hit them nicer or anything like that. Stay your side of the road and hit them as best as you can. On the score sheet, there was another minor fault for move-off safety. I can't see anything in the other move-offs that could be a mistake, so I'm going to presume it was something to do with mirrors in this one. You'll notice it's a bit of an angled start, so they'll get you to do different type of move-offs in your test. For example, hill start, regular start, and an angled start. And that one there was an angled start as he was positioned behind another vehicle and needed to move slightly off to the right. It wasn't just a straight run. Again, another roundabout I just don't enjoy. I find it really busy with cars coming around that corner quite fast. Sometimes it can be quite tricky to find places to move out, and nobody uses signals on this roundabout. Best piece of advice is look at their positioning. If they're on the inside of the roundabout, they may be crossing your path. If they're on the outside and slowing down, they may be turning left. But remember, if you don't know, it's best not to go. You'll notice it's incredibly busy here at the moment. He stays positioned well in the box. He doesn't rush to take any gap that's a bit risky or a bit dangerous. This is realistic, guys. This may be how it is on your test day. You may have to wait here for a few moments. And there is an incredibly rare vehicle in front of us right now. You'll notice he hasn't done a manoeuvre yet. That is because he is going to get a reverse bay park in the car park. I can't actually show it, I'm afraid, because there is examiners everywhere. But he doesn't get any minor faults for this whatsoever. So it was just the one serious fault for Coventry Road, and that was it, which is an amazing test result apart from the fail. The examiner even said it was a fantastic drive. He needs to be rebooking his test as soon as possible. However, with the current situation, that's a lot easier said than done, I know.